The basic way we tend to work, we're part of a team that's made a bunch of docs together, and we dive into a world, right, like 3D printing, and just kind of roll and try to meet as many people as we can and roll a lot of footage and never turn the camera off, as these guys know. And so we generate a lot of footage. It's like 450 to 500 hours of footage for a 90-minute movie. But at the beginning, we're filming everything, and we're staying up afterwards at night saying, how could that work? How could this be a story? Who could the characters be? Once you fast forward 9 months or 10 months, you start to say, oh, well, we know what the story is, and so we know we can turn the camera off for this event because it's not relevant, but it needs to be there for this one. To answer very concretely, we started that general research filming phase in November of 2012, right? And then filmed all through 2013, and then started to really have a sense of our story in the middle of 2013, I'd say. And by the end of last year, we were sprinting to try to we submitted to South by Southwest at the end of last year, and we were hoping to get in there, and then had to really sprint at the beginning of this year to finish it. But we sort of foot all the way on the gas of shooting for end of 2012 and most of 2013, 50-50 shooting and editing for second half of 2013, then all editing up until Clay and Luis editing right now in Los Angeles. Yeah, the question was, were there any noteworthy folks who regretted being in the movie? Do any of you regret being in the movie? None of them. Phew, because there's a lot of them here tonight. Yeah. That's right, Charlie's the dog. As far as we know, no. I think it's very hard to make a doc and not have people, kind of everyone, feel uncomfortable with at least something in it, if from the sound of their voice to something they said. So, everyone has had notes and feedback, and this was different from other docs we've made in that we were dealing with companies that have, we had to enter agreements with all of them because we really couldn't, accidentally show some of their intellectual property as something that would be a real problem. So we had to structure how we worked to handle that, and that meant we took a lot of feedback from people, but we think in the end people understand that this is growing a business is a tough thing, and tough things will come out of that.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think it took a real level of courage for Stephen and our co-directors, Luis Lopez and Clay Tweel, to dive into this project and take it head on. How do you think this plays to an all MakerBot crowd? Pretty differently. And you can imagine, we came into this to tell a great story. We didn't come in from any point of view. The story in our ways started to tell itself. And so, again, as someone who is a producer on this film, I'm incredibly proud of what we've made as a piece of art. But I also know that there are a lot of people who will find this difficult to watch in places. So there are a whole host of things we had to do, not only as artists, but to understand where this thing could land legally. And so it was a real endeavor. And I'm incredibly proud, as I said, of Stephen and our co-directors, Clay and Luis in particular, for what I think is a really courageous film, too.
Way in back, yeah?
Yeah, it's illegal to print U.S. currency. So do any of you see, that this technology should be limited in any way? And if so, B, which governing body would ideally do so?
I'll answer a slightly different question, which is that I think actually it's pretty embarrassing how most of the 3D printing industry treated Cody Wilson and the whole gun printing story, because guns are roughly 1,000-year-old technology. There's a lot of great ways to make a gun in your basement, or a lot of other dangerous things. Really, that's kind of a sideshow. And what he was actually trying to get our attention about, at least I think, is that this does change a lot of things about how we control access to things, because now controlling access to data becomes equivalent. And it's a much bigger question. People are going to make a lot more powerful or dangerous things with a 3D printer than a crappy plastic gun. And so, you know, I think I don't have an answer for who and how it should be regulated. I don't think there should be a 3D printing regulating agency. This is another way to make things, and there's all kinds of ways to regulate things we make. But it's a big question we should all be thinking about.